I'm here today to talk to you about your reserve opportunities and obligation. The purpose of this brief today is to provide you with the information, tools, and resources. So when it comes time for you to make that well-informed decision as to whether or not you want to join the reserves, you have all the information needed. Think of this as your final PCS move into the reserves. You see, each and every one of you had signed an 8-year contract known as a military service obligation. Some of you are going past that military service obligation, and some of you will still have time remaining of that military service obligation. The bottom line is this is the time that you need to start thinking about transitioning into the reserves. As I mentioned earlier, the IR, the SMCR, the active reserve, or the IMA. Do your research, do your homework, contact the units that you might be interested into, because the bottom line is we want you to make a well-informed decision when it comes time for you to transition into the reserves.
Transition from active duty to reserve component was pretty much coming home on terminal leave, enrolling in school, and felt like I was missing something, so I spoke with the prior service recruiter, and he gave me some options, one of which was coming down to MTEX 48 to continue to do my MOS as a drilling reservist.
Let's talk about obligated versus non-obligated. You enlisted Marines are automatically transferred into the individual ready reserve by default. No action is needed on your part. For you officers, you're automatically screened for reserve commission. However, once approved for that reserve commission, you're encouraged to read MAR-Admin 356-12. That MAR-Admin explains the process and how you go about accepting that reserve commission. Now, for those Marines who no longer have a military service obligation, for the enlisted Marines, you're encouraged to contact your career planner and have them utilize the Total Force Retention System message T as in Tango 0109. That TFRS message allows your career planner to re-enlist you up to 1 year into the reserves without having to submit a realm up to Headquarters Marine Corps. For you officers that are interested in receiving a reserve commission, you're encouraged to read MAR-Admin 080-11. And just like the other officers, you're also encouraged to read MAR-Admin 356-12.
As far as the transition from the active duty side to the reserve side, it was, in my case, pretty easy and pretty quick. I resigned my commission, left active duty 1 month, and found myself in the reserve uniform the next month. I hardly had time to even consider what I was doing on the civilian side for a job, and was already back in the uniform for a drill weekend. So as far as for me, it was a pretty easy transition and a pretty easy decision, actually. I determined that my time in the Marine uniform wasn't over, and I wasn't about to walk away completely.
Marines, let's talk about the Selected Marine Corps Reserve, known as the SMCR. SMCR units are located in 47 states, to include Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. There are currently no SMCR units located in Wyoming, South Dakota, or Vermont. Also understand not every unit will rate your MOS, but you may be eligible to apply for retraining. We will talk about retraining in future slides to come. Marines, just like the active component, the reserve represents the entire MAGTF, to include 4th Marine Division, 4th Marine Aircraft Wing, 4th Marine Logistics Group, and Force Headquarters Group, FHG. The Selective Marine Corps Reserve is open to most MOSs. However, if you're looking to join a reserve unit and that reserve unit does not rate your MOS, retraining may be available to you. Understand that generally retraining is only available for sergeants and below and captains and below.
On the active side, I did EAF, Expeditionary Airfields, and now I'm doing CBRN. So from transitioning from active to reserve, it's 2 completely different MOSs. So
there may be affiliation bonus when joining that reserve unit, but do understand if you accept the reserve affiliation bonus, there is a 3-year commitment to that reserve unit. Think of this as the Selected Marine Corps Reserves as a highly paying part-time job. You see, a regular drill weekend, you're getting paid for 4 days worth of work, but for only being there for 2 days. See the latest pay charts, current reserve drill pay. The Selected Marine Corps Reserve units complete a period of annual training, each year typically 2 weeks. Annual training is an opportunity for SMCR Marines to be challenged and hone their MOS skills. Recent annual training has included locations like Barbados, Eastern Europe, Panama, and Morocco. Just like the active component, the Selected Marine Corps Reserve also has officer programs, to include the Reserve Enlisted Commissioning Program, the Meritorious Enlisted Commissioning Program, and the Warrant Officer Program. However, do understand that if you're interested in doing the Warrant Officer Program, you must be affiliated with that reserve unit for up to 1 year. For those of you that are transitioning and are interested in the selected Marine Corps Reserve and are 120 days out from your ES, but no later than 30 days from your ES, you're encouraged to utilize the direct affiliation program. This program allows you, the active component Marine, a seamless transition from the active component into the reserves. Think of this as a guaranteed part-time job. One of the benefits of this program is it does allow you 6 months of free healthcare insurance. If you're interested in applying for the direct affiliation program, you're encouraged to contact your career planner or a local reserve transition coordinator in your area. Marines, we just talked about the selected Marine Corps Reserve. However, maybe the selected Marine Corps Reserve is not for you. So now let's talk about the individual mobilized augmentee program. The IMA program is a drilling reservist Marine stationed with an active duty unit. One of the benefits of being an IMA Marines is your schedules are very flexible. IMA Marine also receives the same pay and promotion opportunities as a selected Marine Corps Reserve. And again, IMA positions are located on major installations to include Okinawa, Japan. Now we're going to talk about the active reserve program. AR Marines are reserve component Marines on active duty to facilitate the integration between the reserve and active component. As an AR Marine, you also have the opportunity to earn an active duty retirement. If you're an officer and you're interested in joining the active reserve program, we do have 2 AR accession boards that go yearly. These boards are published via MARADMIN. If you're an enlisted Marine and you're interested in joining the active reserve program, you're encouraged to contact your local prior service recruiter at 1-800-MARINES. Let's take a second to talk about service limitations in the reserves. Just like on the active component, if you're a corporal and you have not reached sergeant by 8 years, you've reached service limitations. For those sergeants that are currently on active duty, service limitations right now stand at 10 years. In the reserves, you're eligible to go to 13 years, which gives you the opportunity to get promoted to staff sergeant a little bit longer than it would be on active duty. And for staff sergeants, it still remains the same as the 20 years. And for officers, your service limitations are the same as they are on active duty. All right, Marines, we've talked about what happens now, and we also talked about reserve opportunities. What we're going to talk about now is your reserve benefits, the WIFM, what's in it for me. Perhaps one of the best benefits is you get to stay a United States Marine. You get to continue to challenge yourself and seek out opportunities for leadership. You have unmatched networking capabilities. You see, those reserve Marines have already established themselves in the local communities in which you plan on going back home to. By joining the selected Marine Corps Reserve, that gives you that opportunity to get to know those Marines that might help you possibly seek the job that you're looking for. It also gives you a high-paying part-time job. That high-paying part-time job might help you out with the car payment, maybe even some rent. You're also eligible to receive TRICARE Reserve Select. This is only available for SMCR Marines and Marines of an IMA status. You're also eligible to receive Servicemen's Group Life Insurance. And most importantly, you're also eligible to receive a reserve retirement.
The opportunities that are there for reservists to actually take advantage of if they want to. There's a lot of challenges with work, being full-time civilian employees and students, but that's the thing. Those opportunities are there if you want them.
One of the other benefits of joining the reserves is TRICARE Reserve Select. TRICARE Reserve Select is a low-cost, high-value, comprehensive healthcare insurance. The premiums and deductibles do vary from year to year. However, the only people who are eligible to receive this healthcare insurance is SMCR and IMA Marines. If you're an individual rated reserve, unfortunately, you're not eligible to receive TRICARE Reserve Select. If you'd like to receive more information in regards to TRICARE Reserve Select, you're encouraged to view the website at www.tricare.mil. Marines, another great benefit of joining the reserves is TRICARE Reserve Dental. TRICARE Reserve Dental is available to SMCR, IMA, and IR Marines. However, it is discounted to SMCR and IMA Marines. Again, there's monthly premiums and they do vary from year to year. You're encouraged to review their website at employeedental.metlife.com/dental. Another great benefit of joining the reserves is a reserve retirement. The bottom line is this: the more participation points you have, the more money you're going to make when it comes time for you to retire. In order for you to receive a reserve retirement, you must have 20 satisfactory years in the Marine Corps Reserve. In order to get a satisfactory year, you must have 50 points per year. So what does that mean? That means you need to get 35 additional points. Now, by joining a selected Marine Corps Reserve unit or an IMA unit, they'll ensure that you're given the amount of points that's required for you in order to be eligible for a reserve retirement. You can start collecting this reserve retirement at the age of 60. Now understand this though, once you join a reserve unit and you're mobilized for anything more than 90 days, you're eligible to start receiving your retirement a little bit earlier. For example, you join a reserve unit, you mobilize for up to 1 year, you're eligible to start collecting that reserve retirement at the age of 59. You're also eligible to receive TRICARE for life at the age of 60 as well. Okay, Marines, we've talked about what happens now, we've talked about reserve opportunities, we've talked about reserve benefits. What we're going to talk about now is an obligation, because some of you Marines still have an obligation to the Marine Corps Reserve.
Well, I went through 4 years active duty and got to actually go around the world and enjoy being a Marine. I figured it would be a complete waste just to throw that away. I mean, I worked up that far to actually have a career inside of it. Really, it is just throwing away 4 years. So I figured might as well go reserve inside of it, and while I'm here, go to school at the same time.
Let's talk about your IR obligation. This is for those Marines who still have a military service obligation remaining on their contract, which means you haven't reached the end of your military service obligation. You are required to make mandatory notifications to the Marine Corps Individual Reserve Support Activity. You are required to inform them of your address and any phone number changes. Also, you're required to update them with dependent or marital status. You're also required to update them with any civilian employment information known as your CEI. And you're also encouraged to let them know of any healthcare statuses or VA status changes. These updates may be provided utilizing your Marine Online account or your Marine Forces Reserve Customer Service Center. You're also subject to possible recalls to include administrative muster or involuntary activation. Now, if you fail to update your information annually, if you fail to submit any personal data changes, if you fail to comply with orders issued by MCRSA, this could result in other than honorable discharge. For those of you who do go into the IR, guess what? You may also be eligible for reserve retirement as well. Earlier I talked about how many points you need in order to get a reserve retirement. Automatically, you are given 15 points. You are required to get additional 35 more points. There are many ways for you going about getting those points. Several are conducting or completing MCIs. You may also volunteer for active duty orders or annual training, or you may also help out your instructor unit by conducting military funeral honors. The bottom line is this, is you do need 50 points per year in order to be a satisfactory year in order for you to be eligible to receive that reserve retirement. For those Marines who do end up going into the IR, guess what? There is also an opportunity for you to get promoted. For you enlisted Marines, you're required to maintain 50 points the prior year in order to be eligible to be promoted. All Marines must be PME complete in order to be eligible. Lance Corporals and Corporals, you must have a current PFT and CFT within 2 years. Sergeants and above, you're required to have a PFT and CFT, submit an RQS, Reserve Qualification Summary, 1 year prior to the Reserve Board convening. The bottom line is this, is we want you to stay ready. Again, for those Marines who are in the Individual Ready Reserve, and for you enlisted Marines, do not fall off contract. I cannot stress this enough. If you enlist a Marine, do fall off contract, and then you desire to join a Selected Marine Corps Reserve or an IMA billet, you'll be required to submit a waiver through Headquarters Marine Corps. That waiver process could take 6 months to a year in order for you to be eligible to join the reserves. Officers, you are strongly encouraged to maintain your reserve commission, and just like the enlisted Marine, you will also be required to submit a waiver to go ahead and request for a reserve commission. And that process could also take 6 months up to a year to get approved. The bottom line is this, is we want this process to work. By staying on contract and maintaining that reserve commission, it helps you with a transition into the SMCR or an IMA billet. It also helps you be able to volunteer for a mobilization, and most importantly, it keeps your promotion opportunities available for you. But again, keep your options open. Marines, this is your new IPAC, Marine Forces Reserve Customer Service Center. This is where you update all your information. For you enlisted Marines that desire a re-enlistment, you must also contact Marine Forces Reserve Customer Service Center. Their working hours are 0700 to 1830 Central Standard Time. You may contact them via phone at 1-800-255-5082 or by email at csc@marforez.usmc.mil. Okay, Marines, today you've seen a lot of information, and you might be real interested or very excited about the Marine Corps Reserves, and you might be asking yourself, well, how do I sign up? All right? Well, hey, if you're interested in the direct affiliation program, you're encouraged to contact the Reserve Transition Coordinator closest to you in your area. However, if you go ahead and you EAS out, and a few months later you decide that you want to join the Selected Marine Corps Reserve, you're encouraged to contact the Prior Service Recruiter at 1-800-MARINES.
The best aspect of being a reservist is honestly being around Marines again. Although it's just 1 week in a month, it's still great to be around Marines and have that camaraderie and that brother sisterhood that you don't get elsewhere.
Regardless of whether or not you want to join the reserves or not, The Marine Corps wants to thank you for your service to your country and to its core. Semper Fidelis.